Hi everybody. So today I wanted to go a little deeper on a topic that has been taught to me through life's experiences over and over again, and I would say I've become somewhat of a ninja. So I wanted to share some of those skills with you all today, and that has to do with what I call neutrality, or the ability to take chaos and stay in a centered and neutral space. So many times we are given scenarios, and it could be issues that pop up in our personal lives, whether with our family, our partner, or maybe it's in our workspace, and we're challenged and we end up being reactive, and then we get home and maybe it's a day or two later realize, well, man, I overreacted. I know many of you guys have done that. I have done that. Or you get, even if you didn't overreact, the overreacting may be rumination. So that's where those over and all-consuming thoughts of, did I do the right thing? Should I have done this way? Why can't I get it straight? I keep doing this same thing and I hurt somebody. Very often, if you're an empath, which many of my followers and my patients are, because that is what comes natural to healers, we have a lot of deep empathy. So if you're an empath or a healer or someone that is in the energy space, we are gifted and burdened with the ability to almost like overfeel, right? We're so tapped into the human experience that we're picking up on everyone's experience around us. So, for example, you get in let's say there's an event coming up for a family member, and let's say that somebody that you're trying to make it, and you know that you have an assignment due at work and you just can't get there, and it doesn't matter what you would do, it's just not going to work. You may be able to tell that person or that friend, hey, I have an assignment, I am so sorry I can't make it. But then you're left with that burden. You're almost like you're processing the emotions of the other humans involved. And that is a trait that is loving in some ways because you care, but it's also incredibly toxic and bad for our bodies. So the more I study optimal function, the more I understand mitochondrial function, the way our DNA expresses in our body, the more it is clear that these types of loops of rumination or self-judgment or over-processing somebody else's emotions are actually affecting our bodies. So if you're chronically tired or you feel like you just lost your edge, many of you have done a lot of integrative things, or you've really been good with your diet and you're maybe trying the cold plunge sauna thing, but you're still tired, you can't get over that hump. Take a look at where are you reacting. So where in your life, in any situation, are you reacting? And there's been a lot of issues recently, and where I live in Tampa, with processing after this massive storm. So we had the huge hurricane come through. We get threats all the time, and many times, knock on wood, it's been nothing. This time it impacted a lot of people, including me at my workplace, and a lot of our patients and friends at losing cars, losing homes. And what happens, I've seen this even with people around me day in and day out, there's this like survivor's guilt, so that let's say something happens and you're still okay, you're feeling and processing the guilt that it didn't happen to you. And you're feeling and processing the grief of the other people that have been impacted. Or if it did happen to you, you are sucked into obviously having to handle the situation, but also your own emotional response to it. So I'd like to share what I think is a ninja skill, which is practicing when these things come up, because they're going to, whether it's as simple as an argument with a friend all the way to a massive storm. When that imbalance comes in and we're left questioning, doubting, self-judging, and there was a lot of this energy during COVID too, where it was uncertainty, like what is happening in the world around us, how can we, or how are we supposed to react to that? And I read a quote about 10, 12 years ago. There's a book called Power versus Force. The famous Dr. David Hawkins, he's a PhD MD. And he talks a lot about what's called the scale of consciousness, the map of consciousness, he calls it. And he talks about how humans are vibrating. We know we're energetic beings, anywhere from 0 all the way to 1,000. And just to give you the quick summary, if you want to read the book, I would recommend it. It is pretty deep and dense, but fascinating. And so 0 to 200 are more of the negative emotions, whether it's fear or guilt or grief or hatred, anger. Once you cross 200, which is always the goal, which is to evolve as a species and continue to get our bodies and our minds and our cells vibrating at a higher and higher number. Once you hit over 200, it's more positive emotions like hope and joy. And then we're going for love. Love is about 500, and up at 1,000 are believed to be people that have walked this earth that are more ascended masters, like the Moses, Buddha, Jesus of the world. So that is just a quick summary on the map of consciousness. And the sentence in that book that has stuck with me for times like today where there's chaos happening all around is, it said, one person vibrating at 500 or above, so that's the love vibration. But here's the most important part. Just by existing is able to negate hundreds, stadiums full, so thousands, stadiums full of people vibrating below 200. So what does that mean? It means that just by existing, checking in, working on you and where you are at any moment of the day, you are actually energetically impacting and helping stadiums full. So that one person that either you couldn't make their event or that you had a fight with, or your neighbor who ended up having a flood and you didn't, and you're having this guilt. That emotion brings your frequency down and steps you out of that positive, incredible space where you are impacting thousands of people. So how do we do that? How do we get out of the ruminating, chaotic cycle? That's a little bit more of a practice. So just like we have to practice to work out and be good at something, getting this ninja skill does require practice. And what I would say that you start with is just at any moment learning how to tap in. And I love heart coherent breathing. There is an app, the Inner Balance through HeartMath, where you can get your heart, your brain, and your nervous system lined up together. And magic happens in that space. You can do a 5-minute training. It's basically biofeedback. You'll clip the link to your ear. The link is a little sensor, and then it will Bluetooth to your phone, and it will be telling you exactly how to breathe, where you're going in for 5, out for 5, and a very rhythmic. So this isn't the aggressive breath work where you clear trauma and things, which can be helpful in different ways. This is a check-in to you to get out of just a mind-controlled looping into a heart-centered state of love and neutrality and gratitude. And you can actually practice when you're in that breathing in a positive emotion. So while you're in that spinning, can you stop for a second? Think about, let's say, your dog, your cat, your pet, a baby, anything that makes you feel love and gratitude. Your friend, your partner, a happy time you had. And breathe that energy in and out of that emotion and that feeling. So that time bringing you back into neutrality is going to allow you to elevate the frequency of your cells out of those negative spinning emotions that are not healthy for anyone, and bring you into that higher and higher frequency where people will benefit just from being around you. So next time, and I'll give you sort of an assignment that I would recommend you try, is let's say you have that one person at work that always gets under your skin and you just lash out. Or maybe it is a friend that you know every time you talk to them you get exhausted. They just drain you. So let's just use those 2 examples. Those are perfect places to just practice this this behavior and this action. So you're going to go to work. This person is going to be there. Try getting yourself into what we call heart coherence ahead of time. If you can get into heart coherence, do your breathing, get yourself centered. Try to pull above the scenario. Pretend like you're watching from above and see what your colleague is doing. Just watch them. It can become almost comical, like they're in a show, like you're just watching. Oh, isn't that interesting? That's what they said to me before that I reacted to. Now I'm just watching them like it's on a movie. And you can also take this scenario, if you don't want to pull above, pretend like you're sitting in a movie theater and just watch it go by. And then you can literally stop and say, this is a boring movie. I've seen this one before. I think I'll switch the channel. And we're gonna go to a different way of handling it because we know we've played the scenario, we've done this before. So can you instead say, wow, well, if I don't engage, or if I just say something pleasant and kind and happy, and maybe I'll do something fun for myself, like go turn on some music, or go get some water and lemon, or turn on, like, I don't know, something, anything that puts you in a better mood. Go touch plants. We have a lot of plants in the office, or crystals, or anything that makes you feel good, and get yourself out of that looping pattern. Same thing with that friend. Okay, I agreed to go with my friend because he or she is having a rough time, or he or she is having a big event, and I promised that I would go. Well, if I'm going to be going to do that, then you can do certain things like zip up. So energetically, imagine that you have an energy field around you, because you do. So you've got your physical body, but you have an energy field around you that goes out for many, many feet. That energy field is sensitive, and especially again in those of you that are hyper empaths who feel other people's energy, you are sensitive to the environment around you. And if the environment around you is going to bother you, then you can be proactive. And before you go, think about almost literally like you have a jacket that you're just zipping, and you can take this motion and literally zip and lock your energy field, so that then you can walk in knowing, okay, I'm gonna, and then put on some boundaries. That's a great one. If you haven't played with boundaries, there's also a good book called Boundary Boss that you should check out. But tell yourself, I'm not gonna stay here more than 1 hour. And just promise yourself that, have a story of where you need to be, and then turn it into a game. So this is where it becomes the most fun, when we can gamify these situations, right? I'm gonna go, I'm gonna walk out of there. I am not gonna be more tired, and I'm not gonna have surrendered my energy, but I'm gonna hold space and light, and actually I'm gonna try to have fun. So that when you now are encountering, so these are like easier things that you can play with. When you start, it may be hard. As you practice, the zip up is going to be easier, and then you're going to find you make the decision not to go at all, because you're going to get better with your boundaries and be a little choosier with where you spend your time and your energy. And then once you do that, literally elevating, you'll start calling in other humans and scenarios and exciting things that meet you where you're at, because we always attract wherever we are vibrating from. So those are two sort of assignments. Somebody that you know anywhere that kind of gets under your skin. Instead of running from them, seek them out, stay positive, do things for you that make you feel good and loved, and test yourself and see where you are. And each time you're gonna find you get better. I'll never forget when I had an argument with somebody who tended to trigger me a lot. And normally I would spin and get reactive and stressed out and be defensive. And I remember after practicing multiple times that one day where I just said, I understand where you're coming from. That is your perspective. Here is mine. And we can just leave it there. And when you do that so often, the other person is they're out of interest. They actually enjoyed the spinning, and you're bringing it back in. As you practice that in those types of scenarios, in choosing whether or not you engage with the person or with an event, then when the big stuff comes in, like a hurricane, God forbid, we hope not to have another one of those, or some other catastrophic dealing with global issues, pandemics, wars that are happening, a government that does not seem to have an answer right now that makes any sense. When we're dealing with those big things, can we tap in? Ask your body, where am I right now? Where am I vibrating? Am I in a victim mode? Am I in anger, guilt, grief? How do I get to love? Use the images I talked about, things that bring up positive emotions. Bring in your pets. Go and turn on music and dance. Touch a plant. Get in. There's free things you can do to immediately pull you back in. Try the app and the biofeedback. And what you're going to find, because what I've seen over and over again, is that the things still come. We're on the planet Earth, so the challenges are still going to come. But how you process them, and basically the roadkill that comes from it all, meaning your own exhaustion, or you always trip into an Epstein-Barr flare, or you get sick. Those types of things, you're going to be able to master. And then what's going to happen is, as you keep mastering scenarios, by holding neutrality, by holding love, by having boundaries, you're teaching those around you that they can do that too. Because right now we're so conditioned culturally, by expectations, societal expectations of how we're supposed to act in our families or how we're supposed to act in the workspace, that we are, in general, as a humanity, too scared to step in and make a change. But when we see somebody that we know or we love or we trust, making some boundary choices, maybe not giving that spinning energy back, letting go of the guilt, even though we feel like, well, don't you feel guilty? Let's go feel guilty together, because misery loves company. When that person says, I actually have realized if I stay in a positive and neutral space, it helps everybody around me so much more than me going into that emotion. It teaches and gives you that path to move forward. So try that in your homes. Try it in your workspace. Because what happens is anything that's happening globally, and this is kind of how I wanted to wrap up the concept of this video, is that our micro environment, so our homes, our families, our bodies, are really reflecting what's happening on the macro, because we're all energy. And just like we're understanding quantum energy, meaning things we cannot see at the quantum level, they're so small we can't see them, are impacting things halfway across the world. If that's happening on a quantum level, what are we able to do just by controlling our own responses? What happens is, if as a humanity we become calm, we don't react, we turn off the news, we stop spreading negativity. Instead, we spread the ability to learn about our own boundaries, the ability to have love, the ability to express authenticity, be our authentic self. And then hold space and love for those going through it without getting sucked into their hurricane of reactivity. Remember, the I, the neutrality, the observer, watch them on the movie screen. Once they see you do it, they can do it too. So they're less likely to even have that triggering, spinning reaction in the first place. So I hope that this helps for you when the next storm comes through. Again, we've had people in our area be devastated with losses of their cars and their homes. And one of the most beautiful things I've seen is the community coming together. So instead of asking, people are just showing up to serve. And they're doing it by connecting. My sister's music teacher for my nieces lost her entire studio. And what it's done is it's prompted a movement to express what music does and how all of her students are sharing what they've learned by being able to be exposed to music and to art. And they're all putting together music and art and selling it as a fundraiser to help this woman get her studio back online. And I would just ask you, do you think that studio, once it's rebuilt, is going to be the same, less impactful, or way more once it comes back online with the community. And that's what we have the power to do. We have the power to band together. We have the power. It starts with the one. So it starts with you tapping in, being hyper vigilant of your own energy field, of what frequency you're vibrating at, where you are on the map of consciousness, of holding that space, of if you're in a reactive kind of chaotic, which believe me, we all do. And I can tell you, even for me now, and I'm a ninja, like I said at this, if I slip into that reactivity for a bit, I'll observe it. I won't judge myself. Sometimes I judge myself. I try not to judge myself. Then I'll go get in Epsom salt. I'll call a trusted friend or colleague. I'll turn on a guided meditation, and then I can pop right back. So things that used to take maybe days or weeks to come out of, maybe they take now 15, 20 minutes. And when you do that and you slip backwards, because it's going to happen, whether it's in this state of controlling your energy field and your reactivity, or it's getting off your meal plan and going and having, tons of pizza and donuts or whatever your snack is that you love, it's all fine. Just hold it in love and come back to ground zero, to neutral, and see where you can best serve. And that's something, again, that it's viral. So this is the virus we want to spread, is understanding sovereignty, which is figuring out what your boundaries are, figuring out where you are energetically at any moment, bouncing back and going into a training program. So just like we work out at the gym, work out practicing neutrality, where when the scenarios come in that are little, like again, the person that bothers you, they ran out of something at the store, the phone's ringing, and your mom's got a problem again, and she's just gonna be, it's gonna be an annoying conversation. Center yourself, wait to respond, practice, check in with your body, check in with your heart rate, your breathing, do the biofeedback app, and then try it again. And you're gonna find the more you practice this, the more reserve you build, the better you're gonna see health outcomes that are gonna be amazing, like improved blood pressure, cholesterol will get better, your cravings will get better, your sleep will get better, because that loop that we talked about at the beginning of the video, that constant looping is promoting high cortisol, which is something that's gonna bother every aspect in our body. So that stubborn belly fat, those night kind of ruminations and night waking, all of that will gradually improve. You can add in some other types of treatments if you just can't break the cycle. There are now things like the Apollo Neuro, which gives frequency to your vagus nerve. It's a band you wear that will calm your system down while you're functioning. There's another thing called the Neuro V, which is a vibration you put on your right up on your carotid so it can get to your vagus nerve, and it will give a message again to calm, because sometimes we need some added help. So try it on your own. Try it with things like the Inner Balance app, and with meditating. Go on YouTube. Just type in guided meditation to calm, guided meditation to stay as an observer, and find some of these that will allow you to practice just like a workout at the gym. And I hope you guys will share with me what you've done. So I really want this YouTube channel to be a community-based, where we're sharing ideas and kind of going off of each other, riffing off of each other. What did you do to practice when something stressful came up? What worked for you? Because in our micro environments inside of our bodies, whether it's breathing or doing some of these devices I talked about, or soaking in Epsom, or sitting on the earth, in our micro environment of our families, of our closest relationships, what have you tried that's worked? That all, the more we do it in those micro environments, day after day after day, it's going to spread like wildfire into our greater family, our greater community, then into our cities, state, the whole country, which definitely needs it right now, all the way around the world. This is something that we are proving in a scientific way through things like the Global Coherence app, another thing that's done through HeartMath, where they're showing that the more people that are praying or meditating or doing heart coherent breathing at the same time, that it's able to impact the frequency of the planet. So that's pretty impressive, pretty mind-blowing. That is the goal, is that we are here to lead and shift humanity out of this reactive chaos into a sovereign, loving, calm, and neutral space where we can bring back joy and connection and community. So I hope that all of you will join me. Please share, like I said, please like and subscribe. We're just trying to get this YouTube channel going again. And I hope all of you have a wonderful, incredible rest of your day.